Hello, welcome to Cosmic Tea. I'm Timmy, and I'm going to be critiquing your art today. Okay, so this first drawing that I'm critiquing was drawn by a lovely artist named Mean Thursday on TikTok, and I believe they asked me how to make their rendering look more smooth. So this is a little bit tricky because I do not draw realism, and I don't have a lot of practice with realism, so unfortunately, I'm not sure that I can give you the critique that you want, but I will say that the neck is a little off. You can see on the original your reference, she has wrinkles and it shows that she's turning her head, and you don't have those wrinkles there. If you add those wrinkles, even though it's very subtle, it makes the neck look less like a log and more like flesh. You did a really, really good job, and it actually took me a while to critique it, but I think if you look at where her nose and her lips are and then look at the one on yours looks a little bit more flat because on her nose is pointed in a different direction. Of course, it is a 3/4 view, and yours is also a 3/4 view, but it is ever so slightly different, and it looks a little wonky. And the nostrils are not dark enough for the skin color that your character is in, because her skin color is a lot more fair than the way you painted her. So you have to go with those deeper tones because you chose a darker skin tone. If you look here, you can put the same color on these two different colored circles, but the darker circle, it looks a little bit lighter than the lighter circle, even though you don't really notice it right now, probably because you've been staring at it or because I told you that the illusion is there. What you have to do is you have to darken those shadows. You really have to go in there. Here I am just giving her a more defined nose bridge and more highlight, just fixing this up a little bit. I also changed the hair a little bit just because in the reference her hair isn't that much over her face. You should maybe stick to the reference a bit more with that, but it's not really a big deal. To sum up everything, don't be scared of shadows, and make sure you start off with the sturdy foundation before you start rendering. This next one is from a creator called Definitely Not Simping. I chose this specific drawing because it looked to be the newest one. I'm not entirely sure what date it was, but we'll just work with this one. So, for you should just study the planes of the face and be more confident with your edges. Make them sharp. Don't blur them, because then you get a muddy sort of image, and it kind of looks like she's blending in the background. Like the horn, it looks like it's blending into the background. I couldn't really tell where the horn stopped and ended and where the background started. You should really work on just being more confident in general with where your lines are. Even though you're painting, you still have sort of lines. As you can see, what I did with it, I made the edges a bit sharper. This last one is by KarenJaws99 on DeviantArt. The advice I have for you for this specific drawing, because I love backgrounds, I love arts with backgrounds, just next time maybe use a vanishing point because your perspective is way off. You also forgot that the computer is a light source too. You did so good with this lighting. I actually love the window and how the light comes in and it reflects on the blanket and the table and her hair, and there's still like a shadow. It's really, I love it. It's great. But here I'm just going to be correcting your composition, just fixing it up a little bit, just making sure everything looks uniform, so the next time you do something like this, you remember, hey, I can use a vanishing point. Now, there's a lot of lines, and it might be a little bit complicated, but doing this digital actually makes it a lot easier because you don't have to draw all those lines. Those lines don't have to connect to your vanishing point all the time. Really just do it however you want to do it, as long as you're getting the overall gist of the vanishing point is here, and my lines are doing this and this and that, but they all connect to the vanishing point, even though we can't see the vanishing point. It's a little confusing, but with the visual, it gets a little bit easier to understand. And because of this perspective, I also noticed that your character isn't facing the right way. It looks like she is going to be looking at the computer, but because her face is almost a side view. It looks like she's sort of looking at the table, like between the table and the computer. So if you are going to redraw this or draw something similar to it, make sure that you give her a 3/4 perspective where you can see both of her eyes. That's everything. That's all I have to say. Thanks for submitting your art. That was really cool. And wear your seatbelt. I guess.